Welcome to a new edition of the Neon Jazz interview series with Toronto-based jazz drummer and bandleader Ernesto Cervini. With his band Turbopop, he talks about his latest 2017 CD Rev and how things are going in the world of jazz, along with his life and the world at large. He talked about a great many things, so please get to know him and dig this very interesting cat, my friends.
Hey, thanks for taking a minute out today. I appreciate it.
Yeah, no problem. My pleasure.
So, talk to me about what's going on lately.
Lots of things. So Rev just came out a couple weeks ago, and the new Turbopop album. I'm really excited about that. Yesterday I found out it was an editor's pick for Downbeat. So there's a really nice review on the Downbeat website, which is fantastic. That's happening, and then, I'm in a couple other bands that are keeping busy. Myriad 3 just recorded our new album, so we were in the studio a couple weeks ago. And then I have a couple other projects that are working on seeing if we can get some funding to do albums. So lots of balls in the air right now.
So let me ask you this about the studio, and I've asked this in a variety of ways. For the jazz musician, it tends to be a quick thing, and you're out. For other bands, other musicians, it can take a little while. Is it because of money, or is it because improv is the backbone of what you do, and you know what to do when you go in there? Because it would even happen with Miles Davis, who had money back in the day. I mean, they would be in for a few days, and they would have stellar albums. What is that philosophy?
I think it's the idea is that, as long as you're executing the head in and the head out, or whatever the arrangement is, the improvisation part, you can do 8 takes of the same song. Some might have a slightly better vibe than others, but it's just improvising. So you're going to get 8 different solos. Now, will some be better than others? Sure. But I mean, is it going to differ that much? Probably not. You're not. So I feel like, with like rock bands and pop bands, a lot of times they're doing a lot of the crafting of the tune in the studio. So, they have, I don't know this firsthand because I've never done this, but they have an idea of they have the tune and they have a rough idea, but then they go into the studio and they really craft it into what they want to be on the album. Whereas in jazz, I feel like, it's a little bit, it depends on the band, but in a lot of bands, it's a little bit more of like, well, whatever we play is what we played that day, and that's going to be what's on the album. In terms of solos and stuff, you can't really pre-plan any of that. And since it makes up such a big part of the song, then there isn't really much to worry about. You play the head in, the head out, as long as those sounded good. The solos are what they are, as long as no one feels like they really did a bad one. And, when you're working with good musicians, everyone can pretty much do their thing when they need to. So, yeah, when we went in with Myriad, we were there for 3 days, which is, I've never done a 3-day recording session. And in that band, we do actually approach the music a little bit more like the way a pop band or a rock band would. Like, the songs are very heavily arranged. We work with a producer who gives us his insight into the arrangements and the orchestrations that we've come up with and stuff like that. And then we do work the tunes in the studio. So, we might spend 3 hours on a tune or 4 hours on a tune, which I know in the pop world isn't very much, but in the jazz world, that's a long time to spend one song.
Absolutely. It sure is. The one thing that I find with a lot of the releases of jazz albums that come out is that, sometimes there's a political message. Sometimes it's being experimental or avant. Other times it's just furthering a sound. There always tends to be kind of a blend in this modern realm that's going on, a little bit more premeditated than maybe back in the day in the 50s and 60s when they were just kind of banging out this thing that was evolving post-bebop. What do you feel like you're doing when you're going in and making an album? What messages are you trying to put out there? But this is a very rich, full album. It's very, very auditorially present, and obviously Downbeat's grabbed onto this. But what are you trying to do?
Well, to be honest, I thought about trying to come up with an overarching theme or message or something. One of the most important things about Turbopop is that we all really enjoy playing with each other and we all have fun making this music together. And there's a lot of love in that band. And so for me, that's the most important thing to capture, because that's really the essence of that band, is just this really great vibe. So there wasn't really like a a planned kind of message with it, with the choosing of the songs that we played. Those were just pieces that we had been playing on tour, and I wanted to do a good blend of standards, or, a blend of some standard-y type stuff or covers, and then a bunch of original music. When I released my first album, it was all originals, and then I've slowly been getting more into bringing back, a cover or a standard or something that people recognize, because it's fun for people to listen to, and to be honest, it's fun to play too. So yeah, I think that was basically the aim with this, is just to capture the fun and the love that's in this band. And it can be hard in the studio, because sometimes the studio can get a little intense and oppressive, and then it can be hard to really perform in the studio. Because we recorded this album right at the end of a tour, it kind of erased any of those barriers that might be there, especially playing difficult music. Everyone was so comfortable that we could just relax and have fun.
Speaking of performing live, it has to be, how much fun is it to go through the process of constructing an album and then getting to present that live to people?
It's the best. It's the best. Again, the way that we did this was we were presenting it live to people before the album was had even been recorded. And it's interesting, because a lot of the other people in the band, they haven't been nearly as plugged into the whole process as I was, obviously, because I'm listening to all the takes and I'm picking the best takes and doing the mixing and mastering. So for them, we did this recording, and then 8 months later, they get this. I send them the tracks, and they're going, "Oh yeah, this sounds really good. That's great." But yeah, I'm thrilled. It's awesome, and I can't wait to take the band on the road and play again and play this music for people, because it always seems to resonate. I find this band resonates with people because we're having so much fun, and because everyone's really digging each other's playing, and so I think that comes across, which is nice.
I'm always curious how much something in Downbeat really propels something. How much is this going to add to folks buying and coming out and seeing you? Is it going to be a big push for you?
I hope so. To be honest, it's hard to quantify something like that. I think it does. If it does nothing else, it just puts your name into people's heads, and even just other musicians. Nowadays, with the way buying music is, I never count on kind of anything making people go out and buy the physical CD, because so many people don't do that. And to be honest, I really only buy physical CDs when I'm at a show. If I'm at home and I want to check out something new, I'll just buy it on iTunes. I'll buy the album on iTunes and check it out. But I don't know if I'm supposed to admit that, but it's true. But
it's our modern world. Yeah, totally.
Yeah, I mean, it's not that I have nothing against the physical CDs. I'm still making them, and I like to buy them when I can. I don't know, it just seems to make, I'm going to end up putting it on my computer so I can have it on my phone and my iPad and my iPod or whatever. I'll say this, getting nice coverage in Downbeat will never hurt. And I think it also helps not only with getting people to come out, but also getting booked. As soon as I contact a club in anywhere in Canada or the U.S., and I say, hey, my name is Ernesto, and I have this band, and we got this editor's pick in Downbeat, and here's what they had to say, it gives the project some weight, so that, because people who book these clubs get 1 billion emails a day, and so if it just keeps them reading an extra couple sentences, then that's already worth it.
Yeah.
And if it gets me at least an email back, then that's already worth it. And then it's my job, once I get the gig, to fill the place, to get press in the area, to get, then it comes back to me. But to get in the door, to get my foot in the door, I think this really helps. I mean, it's like winning awards and stuff. It's all, judging music is so subjective that, the editor of Downbeat happened to like my album, which is fantastic, but a different editor could have hated my album. And it doesn't change the music at all. It's the same stuff. And I have had a bad review for this album. It's so subjective that you just have to kind of take the good and make what you can with it, and don't worry about the bad. And then when you do get the opportunities to present your music, you have to do everything you can to make sure that, the music is presented professionally, and there's people there, and you've done your part as an artist.
If you had to pitch your band and you had to pitch the new album and you had to try to convince somebody to come out and why they should come out and see you in this, world of brevity with Twitter and getting things out in the most action-packed way possible, tell me why. Tell me what it is about your band that people should consume. Why should they consume you?
Oh, that's a really great question. I wish I had written down a good answer, but I haven't. So I'll have to make one up on the spot. As I said before, the band plays. It's all fantastic musicians, which you would expect that, and we play a good mix of standard material and original material, but it's all done in a way that is recognizable and enjoyable to an audience. I think the most important thing and the thing that everyone takes away when they see the band is that we're up there having a blast. We love playing together, and we love playing this music, and we love playing it for people. And people always get it, and they feel that, and then they respond. And it's a nice mix. We play, on our first album, we did a Claude Debussy piano etude that I arranged for the sextet, and we do some Radiohead, and we do a song by Blind Melon, and then we play original stuff. We do some standards. We recorded Pennies from Heaven, and we also play Tad's Delight. So it's like a nice mix of, if you're not a super hardcore modern jazz fan, you can still go and enjoy this music. And if you are, you can still go and enjoy this music because there's a little bit of everything for everyone. And it's delivered in a way that's full of joy.
That's perfect. That was probably about 7 tweets, but it's perfect.
I know it was way too long, but that's what I'm saying.
I know.
Then I would cut it down. Afterwards, I would cut it down.
Well, half of what I do, half of my opera mundi here is knowing that you guys are improv masters. So I'm going to put your feet to the interview fire, and I'm going to see what you got. So that's a part of it.
Perfect.
So, before we get off, thank you for taking some time out. Thank you for the album, for the music, and good luck with everything. I appreciate it.
Thank you so much. It's my pleasure. It's great to talk to you.
Thanks for listening and tuning in to yet another Neon Jazz interview, where we give you a bit of insight into the finest players in Toronto, Kansas City, and spots all over the world, giving fans all that jazz. And thanks to Ernesto for always giving us his time and his music. If you want to hear more interviews, go to Famous Interviews with Joe Domino on the iTunes Store. Visit neonjazz at youtube.com, and for everything Neon Jazz, go to the neonjazz.blogspot.com. Until next time, enjoy the jazz, my friends.
Neon Jazz.